Today's Wednesday, July 15, 2015, and you're tuned into the Elevator Radio Show. The Elevator Radio Show is a proud supporter of the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation. To find out how you can make a difference, visit their website today, www.eesf.org. Hey, everybody, got a real short show for you today, so stay tuned. Here it comes.
You're tuned in to the Elevator Radio Show, a weekly program dedicated to covering news and information on elevators, escalators, and moving walkways. Produced in the wee hours of the morning, a new show is uploaded every Wednesday, sometimes even before you get out of bed. Listen to some of the comments sent in from our audience.
Rob from New York writes, Tom, are you f***ing insane? You actually get up at 2 a.m. each Wednesday to put this show out? Man, you must love elevators. Tim from Illinois writes, I'm not sure why I listened, but ever since I tuned into the first show back in 2007, I've been addicted. Matt in Texas writes, I like your safety messages, Tom. It's important to remember them each and every day. And he also adds,
when am I going to win the monthly prize pack giveaway?
Ron from California sent this in. Despite your inability to pronounce words in the English language, I tune in each week and am glad that you offer this service to the industry. It's better than Google News Alerts. Sarah from Washington writes, love the show, Tom, and look forward to it each week. I'm glad I signed up for the newsletter. You provide a valuable resource for the industry, not only for North America, but worldwide.
Enjoy the show. And now, here's your sleep-deprived host, Tom Seibert.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yes, it is great to be here this Wednesday morning. Yes, another show in the can almost. This is show number 404. And if you're tuning in for the very first time, this is the Elevator Radio Show podcast. It's a podcast that's delivered weekly into your inbox, iTunes, Android, RSS reader, whatever it is. It is basically a weekly program where we scour the internet for all sorts of news relating to elevators, escalators, moving walkways, you name it, lifting devices, whatnot, and then we package it into a nice little show, very similar to Google News Alerts and whatnot, and then throw it out online for all of you to listen, watch, and or just check out the links that are in the show notes. So thanks for tuning in today. We greatly appreciate that. And hopefully in your neck of the woods, weather is pretty nice. I know here in the Midwest, we've had some muggy days, but I'm not going to complain because it feels pretty darn good considering it's been pretty chilly for a while. Before you know it, it's going to be snowing, at least here in Chicago. Anyway, I want to just touch on a little, the blog post that's over on Elevator Radio Show. One of those deals where it started last night, and I was in bed with my wife. We were watching the news, which we don't typically do, and I was so unimpressed. And it seems like any time or the time in which I've watched, the news, the 10 o'clock news from like the last time I did that, which was probably, a few years ago, it seems to be getting worse. I don't know at what point, everybody's going to get fed up with the sensationalism of the way that media covers most news articles or the lack of depth or information that they share and really how many, after every single segment they covered, I was like, and why is this important? What are you talking about? You're lacking so many details and it's really too bad. I think journalism has really gone down the tubes and had me thinking about the show and where we've been, where we've come from and where we're going. And the reality is that for many of you that are not aware, the show was, I think the first show was produced in 2000 something. Oh gosh, I don't even know, but over 400 shows ago, 403 shows ago to be exact. And back then, yes, I sound like an old man. We had to walk 5 miles to school in the snow and all that crap. Back then there was the Google was there, but they did not have a news feed. You didn't have Google News Alerts. And in essence, the goal of this program was to bring our industry together closer, in a weekly podcast and sharing that kind of information. So basically, I was tied into all the regional and main elevator associations throughout the United States and Canada, and so that kind of information that was disseminated online, I pulled in and put it into a nice little package that most people could find. Well, now with the Google News Alerts and the news readers and whatnot, And really, just to digress for one moment here, what had me thinking about this is that the news reader that I use is going to become obsolete due to Google News Alerts, which really had me thinking. I'm thinking, oh man, I use Google News Alerts, but it's not exactly the ideal news aggregator for tracking items outside of Google. There are a lot of great blogs, and if you're not keeping in touch with them all, then it's kind of an issue. So, it had me just rethinking. I'm like, there's got to be something more we could do with the show, and I'm going to start to contemplate that and figure out if we can bring some interesting content to you in one way or another. Maybe even in a more entertaining way than me just commenting on articles that I talk about on the show. But my point is that if you have any good ideas on where you'd like to see the show or what you listen to, maybe you listen to a podcast you really like, or you watch a video blog or vlog or whatever, and you say, this is pretty funny. Let's see if we can transfer that into an elevator type program. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you, because I know we have a lot of listeners out there, a lot of watchers. But ultimately, the goal of the program is bringing you something of value, not just my yammering each Wednesday morning with these articles. And so, as we move forward, there may be a day when this show is not as relevant as it once was. And I am totally fine with that. Technology obviously moves forward, and there's not a lot I don't want to be in the way of that. So, ultimately, I'm not saying I'm hanging up my, hat per se, but I want to try to figure out a way of getting the program so that it is, bringing more to all of you out there, and we'll figure out how to do that. The ultimate issue I have right now is time. Time is just not on my side, and resources are. So really, if we can figure out how to do that, perhaps we can, do that on our own. So any ideas out there, send them to elevatorradioshow@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. So, yeah, really, that's about it. That's my soapbox of the day. And it's going to get into the news next, and we'll pretty much have you out of here probably in about 20 minutes, which you can't beat that, right? Can't beat that at all. So up next, we're going to the news. As always, send your email comments to elevatorradioshow@gmail.com. And that's about it. So up next, news.
Let this week's news stories give you a lift on what's happening in the vertical transportation arena. Each news segment is organically dug and fresh with news stories of the week. Got lift? If not, stay tuned.
All right, so this week's program leads us off with the Massachusetts Elevator Safety Association. And Eric Tragish, thank you so much. Somebody I have a great deal of respect for, posting on a busy summer, what's going on. Tomorrow is actually their annual boat cruise. I hope you guys have a great event. It is going to be departing tomorrow at 3:45 p.m. Boston Bell, and you can actually register still online probably. So anyway, have a great time. And Eric, thanks for everything you do for for Mesa. It's greatly appreciated, and you are one of the warriors and the guys out there doing your best to make our industry a better one. So thank you for that. Next article, heard an escalator accident at San Francisco BART station. Let's see here. Fire officials say 4 people were treated for minor injuries in San Francisco Sunday afternoon. Authorities tell ABC 7 News that a man fell backward and hit 4 women after escalator going up on the platform, and the concourse stopped abruptly. Hopefully the man's okay, and the women as well. It sounds as if perhaps maybe he lost his balance. And again, just another reason to practice the safety rules that we all know and love so well. And holding onto the handrail is very important. Obviously, I don't know the particulars. Hopefully he didn't have a stroke or something like that, but obviously it could have been a lot worse. Okay, Nashville firefighters rescue woman trapped or stalled in an elevator after a power outage. Remember, this is the most important part of the story. Stay in the elevator if you are indeed in an elevator and it stops working. That's the number one information I can provide you. All right, so just remember that. Share that information with anybody you know. Also, share the safety messages and rules of riding the equipment we work and inspect and make equipment for, so that everybody's safe and it's not, we don't have to read about articles like this. Okay, after escalator outage, trains bypassed the Bethesda Metro station. And I have a feeling Bethesda has one of, or two of the, or 3 or 4 of the longest escalators in the country. But apparently they are a huge people mover for that system. And the problem is that they just didn't believe they could get enough people up and down So the transit system announced that the escalator had been repaired and the station was reopened as of 12:45 p.m. on the 13th. So yeah, it makes you realize how important the equipment that escalators are in a transit system, especially one there either aren't stairs, which I'm sure there were, or elevators themselves. But having a backup on a station platform underground could be definitely a true issue there. So interesting to see transit systems making taking those steps. I think this next article was the same one. Union City. It's happened in New Jersey. I'm pretty sure it's the same article. I'll let everybody read that on their own, but another outage where people were freed from an elevator. Metro reopened stop after. Okay, and this is another one. So yeah, this is not a very good news week whatsoever, and that's fine. So it just gets everybody out of here sooner than later. So and Washington Post again, or another article talking about Metro reopens Bethesda stop and Red Line after escalator outage. Again, nice to see the transits have systems in place or emergency, not emergency, I guess, but contingency plans when something like this happens. I think that's really good to avoid overflowage of a platform, people trying to get up and down and just not having enough capacity to get them up and down. Okay, the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation Canadian Toronto Cruise registration is open. If you haven't signed up for that, if you're if you're Toronto, please support the event. All proceeds go directly back to the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation in Canada. You can go ahead and click here to register. More details will follow regarding where that event is going to be held. In specifically the address, but should be a great time. And encourage you to get signed up today. You can do it online. Credit cards are accepted. If you need an invoice, just contact the Elevator Escalator Safety Foundation. Okay, if you have a project you've been working on and you'd like to have it highlighted or featured, consider submitting it to the 2016 Project of the Year Elevator World contest. They publish, I guess I should say the winners are published in their magazine. Deadline for the entries are August 31st, 2015, and they got a bunch of categories. So great opportunity for you to have your projects featured for your customers, your clients, and some really cool projects that are shown in here. So the PDF version or brochure on this is in the show notes. So I know you may feel like it's a little late, but it's really not. All you got to do is just do a quick recap, take some photos, send it over to Elevator World and see what happens. And the last news article of this week's program has redirected me to theheraldsun.com in Australia. Apparently, this can't be found. The title of it was actually, and I was able to load this up this morning, but for some reason it's not working right now. But apparently, a man was injured when he fell over the side of an escalator at an arena-type setting, and spectators state, or witnesses state, that they witnessed him trying to slide down an escalator handrail, which we all know is not the proper way of riding an escalator, and seems to be 9 times out of 10 when people do that, they fall over the side. And remember, escalator handrails are not slippery. They have a little bit of a grip on them because of the material that they're made out of. And it's really kind of stupid how many people actually try to do this and have actually died. So anyway, well, that's going to do it for the show, everybody. I told you it was short and sweet. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in. Hey, it's 13 minutes, under 20 minutes. Can't beat that. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in today. Remember to take your vacation time. Put it on the books. Get it out there so that you're not losing your vacation time. And make sure you take time for family and friends during the nice warm weather, because it's not going to last. That's about it. So, all right, everybody, be safe out there, and we will talk to you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.